I'm going to bring in former Bush-Cheney presidential campaign advisor Terry Holt with us, alongside Democratic strategist and partner with Goodstein and Associates, Richard Goodstein. Good to see you both, gentlemen. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Maria.
First, Terry, your reaction to last night?
Well, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but I'm not that surprised about last night. You have an open primary where Democrats and independents are allowed to participate in the New Hampshire primary. So Donald Trump wins, and we all kind of expected that. I think the real question was who was going to demonstrate that they had some pizzazz with the voters, and Kasich set out to do that and did exactly that last night. So he enjoys really the momentum coming out of New Hampshire.
Yeah, you're right.
But let me throw a number at you. Maria, we're going after 1,237 delegates in this process, and so far the front runner is in a commanding lead with 17 of them. So there's quite a lot of work to be done yet in this long season.
Yeah, Richard, Terry's right. I mean, we were expecting, even on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders to win, but not by the margin he won. That was a surprise. It was much worse than expected, no? For Clinton.
Well, you know, the polls were all over the lot. Remember, there were all those polls a few weeks ago that had him up 30. There was a CNN poll just 2 days ago that had him up 26. There were some others, Emerson and some others I don't think we see as the gold standard, that had it 8 or 12. So who knows what we should have expected. But the fact is, yeah, let's give Bernie Sanders his due. In my personal opinion, both parties voted for candidates who are unelectable. I mean, I really think that Donald Trump, whose core message is an appeal to racism and bigotry and xenophobia, is not somebody that the vast public is going to vote for. And I think Bernie Sanders, a socialist, is not somebody whose message is going to kind of resonate with, again, a cross-section of moderates, let alone all Democrats, many of whom, frankly, don't see redistributionist policies as the appropriate response to whatever is ailing the U.S. right now.
Right, which is why if it's Trump-Sanders, you guys, don't you think Trump wins?
I think that might be the case because Trump's message is so vague and so amorphous, and Bernie's actually got real policies to pick apart. But, you know, if you're Donald Trump and you got 35% of the vote in a totally open primary, in a very isolated and forgive me, but sort of different kind of place in New Hampshire as opposed to South Carolina or the Midwest, I mean, you have to be concerned because 1 in 3 voters, many of whom weren't Republican voters, the rest of these contests really are dominated by Republican electorate. And so the Republicans haven't settled on who their nominee is yet by any means. Donald Trump's gotten a lot of attention, but as we go along, the specificity of his policy positions and some of the crazy stuff he said might be brought more to light. And you know what Donald Trump has lacked up to this point is somebody who's willing to punch him in the nose and take him on, who really has also demonstrated that he's got some electoral strength. Kasich is no wilting flower. He came on strong at the end. He has the ability to mix it up without his talking points, I must say. And so you have a new player on the scene in John Kasich who could really play a different role in this race and change the dynamic.
Mike Murphy, jump in here.
So it seems to me, as far as Hillary's campaign goes and saying that Bernie Sanders is not electable, Richard, it's a lot like deja vu from when she ran against upstart Senator Barack Obama. You know, is her camp thinking, she came into this race again, as she did back in '08 as the eventual, the crowned candidate, and now someone's catching the younger vote and catching a lot of momentum and kind of really putting pressure on her. Is she focusing on that, and does she have a plan really to be able to stop that?
Yeah, so I don't think Hillary Clinton ever said that Barack Obama was unelectable. She just thought that she had a better chance, frankly, because of the racism that has bedeviled Barack Obama the 7 years that he's been president. I think the problem with Bernie Sanders is, again, the things that he has said, forget business about paying for college and health care and policies that, frankly, we're going to add, ridiculous amounts to the debt and, frankly, are unworkable. But what he said over time about nationalizing the oil industry and banks and otherwise, that would be the kind of thing that would be thrown at Democrats if he were at the top of the ticket and would reinforce every stereotype that so many people on this and other networks have laid at Democrats for decades, and that would be kind of the undoing. Look, it's not an accident that all these superdelegates that have announced have come out for Hillary, because they're office holders. Their names are on the ballot, and there's a reason there are superdelegates in the Democratic process, 712. Hillary has about half of them already. You need 2382 to win. So if they come out of the woodwork finally and get behind her, it really is a delegate contest, and I think that may well be the margin that tips it for her at the end of the day.
From a distance, though, Richard, you hear Hillary Clinton supporters talk negatively about Bernie Sanders, but we don't ever hear you acknowledging what are clearly problems for her. And in that exit polling, people don't trust her. 91% of people who wanted a trustworthy, honest candidate went for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
You guys have to start acknowledging that. Maybe you do privately, certainly not publicly.
Well, Dagan, I cannot argue with the fact that if you've been on the receiving end of incoming, not just in this campaign, but for decades, it does have kind of a residual effect. That said, when Bill Clinton won his re-election campaign in 1996, he too was underwater on the whole trustworthiness factor, and he beat Bob Dole pretty handily.
Yeah.
Look, is it something that Hillary is going to have to address or deal with? Absolutely. Is it something that she can't overcome? No. I mean, literally, if I were a betting person today, I would put my money solidly on Hillary.
Wow.
I just don't think, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
By the way, but Richard, before you go, you said earlier that the Trump vote is a vote for racism and xenophobes.
No, his campaign is. I didn't say his voters were.
I said
okay, his appeal.
But he's at 41%, Richard. So are you saying 41% of the country's racist and xenophobes?
I'm saying, look, we saw the exit polls. 2/3 of the voters in New Hampshire agreed with his notion to ban Muslims. I think every policy expert would tell you that's totally counterproductive, in addition to being ridiculously unenforceable. How in the world is he going to enforce that? And yet, he holds it out there because it really taps into the hate and anger that's out there towards Muslims among the very people that voted for him. So do I think they're all racist? No. Do I think they're latching onto something because they dearly want somebody to kind of, show them the light? They do. I think it's irresponsible, but I think that's what's happening.
Richard, Terry, good to see you both, gentlemen. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon. What an election. Incredibly exciting. Coming